Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lion, the Way, and the War, where we discuss Jesus, His church, and the spiritual battle that surrounds us all. My name is Craig Allison, and I'll be your host. All right, welcome back, everybody. On today's episode, I'm here in the studio with the jack of all trades, or I should say the Jimmy of all trades, Jimmy Rothwell. Basically anything construction, plumbing, electrical, tile work, you pretty much are able to do it all. I'm going to probably ask you a little bit about that here in a minute. What I didn't know, Jimmy served on the CV-62 USS Independence aircraft carrier during the first Gulf War, and you've been married for almost 6 years. You've got 3 children, 1 grandchild, Nora.
Beautiful grandchild.
Yeah, she's here in the studio with us. She's sitting right over there, but we can't see her. But she's gonna get real bored here in a minute. So 1 grandchild, Nora, and you like to spend time with your family and crack an occasional joke, which you did right before we started the show. Which you got to work on your jokes. They're so bad. Welcome to the show, Jimmy.
Thank you.
So yeah, I didn't know about you serving on the aircraft carrier until you sent me this information. So what, were you in the Navy?
Navy.
Okay. And
I was a pit snipe, machinist mate down in the engine room. Very hot.
I bet. So what exactly did you do?
We ran the main engine number 3. And we were damage control central for the ship if damage control central was knocked out of business. And all the shafts ran through our space.
Yeah.
All other 3 shafts went. So we were the heart of the ship.
Okay.
We made steam for the catapults, the hot water, everything was, we could power Cleveland.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So did you enjoy your time in the Navy?
I did.
Were you there, 4 years, like a regular?
I was only there 2 years. I signed up when Kuwait was invaded.
Okay.
And they had an offer for 2 years active, 2 years reserve. So I signed up for that, and my dad's dad passed away when he was 17, and I did not want to miss the time with him, or I would have stayed in. I just felt that would be 20 years away from my family, and I just thought I would come back.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your service. I didn't know that you had served. Are you one of those like hardcore Navy guys like that? Like they're, Army, Air Force, Marines, those guys are all jokes, but it's the Navy that's,
Well, I look at it like I was on a paid cruise ship. We got lobster, steak, shrimp, almost all the time, different, really good food, 4 meals a day. I've been from San Diego, lived in Japan, Korea.
See, this is a whole nother side of you that
yeah.
I had no idea that.
Been to Philippines a couple of times.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you get to watch any planes land?
Absolutely.
What you said? This was the USS Independence. What aircraft did it carry?
We had approximately 60 planes and helicopters, F/A-18s, F-14s. Of course, this is in the 90s. And I got flown onto the ship when I got to San Diego, and I got flown off the ship when I left. We were leaving the Gulf, and it was my time to get out, so I kept going west and literally went all the way around the world in those 2 years.
Now, when you said you got flown onto the ship and off the ship, like you literally landed on the aircraft carrier?
I was in a cod. You sit backwards, so when you land, it gets you into your seat when you hit the arresting gear.
Okay.
And it got flown off in that helicopter.
Did you get to ever like sit in the cockpit of one of the fighter jets, the F-18 or anything like that?
I didn't ask, but no.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Also, I wanted to ask you, how did you get into like the whole construction stuff? Because that's kind of been your bread and butter now for a while, right? That's you make a living doing that kind of stuff.
My dad's dad and his uncle, or his brother, started a construction company, and from a factory they were working in, they decided to do this. They built them a toolbox and rode the bus to start with.
Okay.
So it started from there, and my dad was into it. And
did he actually do any of the work? 'Cause I've never seen your dad.
Yeah, he actually
do
did
the work. He just
he would get in there and do it. But
Okay.
I've worked for him since basically 9 years old on breaks from school, and bought my first motorcycle when I was 15. Or bought not my first motorcycle, but the first one I bought was when I was 15. I got my first one when I was 4.
You saved up money working for your dad?
Yeah.
Is that how you did it? So he actually paid you. You didn't have to work for free?
No, yeah, he paid me. And this was before child labor laws, maybe.
we won't get into that.
I did it willingly.
All right, so I've had a recurring guest on the show. Her name is Kelsey Thrash. For those of you that listen to the show, you know that she's a mental health counselor, and we've touched on some of the basic issues and struggles with addictions, recovery, but we've never actually she and I have never actually done like a deep dive. We've all usually veered off into like some different areas there. And I've spoken to you, Jimmy, on several occasions about your past life, and you have not had any issues sharing some of the issues and the struggles that you've had. You've actually, in our Sunday morning class, you've disclosed some stuff in front of the class too. And so I thought that this would be an extremely helpful podcast for folks who may either currently be in or have experienced the type of things that you have gone through and experienced in your whole life. So it's up to you as far as how much you want to share. So I'm just going to ask some questions, and if I hit something you're like, dude, I'd rather not talk about that, that's fine. We won't talk about it. So completely up to you. But I just want to kind of go backwards in time a little bit and basically start from the beginning. So you've talked about some of the things that you got involved with, and just walk me through like what kind of started the whole process where you started getting into a lifestyle that became problematic for you? Like, where did that all begin?
Well, I'd guess the first time I ever tried anything was about 9 or 10 years old.
Sniffing glue or?
No, that was at the end. A friend of mine's parents would party and they had a box of roaches, marijuana, and we went up into a house that was being built on the street I live on now, Talitha Lane. I don't care. My sister Talitha. And I just tried it. That's not where I started. That's the first time I ever tried it.
Okay. Where'd you start?
I probably started between 13 and 15, and it started with marijuana.
Okay. And, typically like the progression there is like alcohol and cigarettes, and then that opens, it's kind of like the gateway, and then kids will do some pot or whatever. So between 13 and 15 you're smoking some pot, kind of the party type atmosphere, or was that just something you did alone?
No, it was partially peer pressure, and I would be the peer pressure to some extent, but it was something we did as a group.
Okay. So like no real like precipitating event, nothing tragic happened or anything like that. You're trying to escape reality. It's just you had friends and you guys got into something that a lot of kids get into.
I look at it now like you try something and it feels good, and then from then on you're chasing that first feeling. You'll never get it again, but you continually chase that feeling and want that back, but it never happens.
Yeah.
And you just progress from there.
Yeah, I think that's a typical thing with any type of an addiction, is that first high is never recaptured again. You're continually trying to find it. So after 13 to 15 you're doing that, what happens next?
Excuse me. Around 16 or 17 I tried cocaine.
Okay.
And that wasn't so bad at first, but it got to be really bad.
Yeah. So how did you get involved with that? That's, it's expensive. At least that's.
It is.
So, what led to that? Like, how did that happen?
Hanging around the wrong people. I mean, it boils down to that. I was surrounding myself with things I thought I wanted and thought I needed. The young, I guess, invincible attitude that kids have. I mean, no matter if it's that or something else. I mean, I always thought I would be invincible the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm finding out that is not so at 54 almost.
Right. So still kind of the party scene deal.
Absolutely.
Same group of friends that you started smoking pot with.
It had progressed, but just gained more.
Okay.
You know.
So how often were you doing that? Was it something every night or what?
To start with, no, but the weed was pretty steady to some extent. Not so bad, not as bad at first as it got after, but it was different. It was something that once you try it and all that, you think you'll never be happy without it, and that is totally false.
Yeah. So pretty much when you could get it, you did it.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that it? I mean, was that kind of the plateau of drug use for you?
Absolutely not. That was the beginning.
Oh, okay. The cocaine was the marijuana, and the cocaine was
that was the beginning.
The very beginning. Okay. So what comes next after that?
Well, basically anything you could get your hands on, ecstasy to. I never did. Really didn't do any opiates. I had taken some pain pills before, but they didn't. It wasn't my thing. Never did anything like that. Partially because probably our age grew up with the people coming back from Vietnam, and the problem there was the heroin.
Yeah.
And that might have been on my mind, that I just never tried that. But eventually it killed two of my cousins.
Heroin did?
Heroin did. Mm-hmm. And just recently, not too long ago, and meth basically killed another one of my cousins that was murdered. I've had probably 3 or 4 other friends that I kind of disassociated with after high school that had died from those things too. So
this just it continued to progress, and you were doing harder and harder stuff. Did you reach a point where you felt like you were addicted to?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So what was that like?
Well,
and what was the go-to thing that you just had to have?
Your life is 24/7 involved with what you're wanting to do, whether you're doing it or working to find the money to get it, or to it was just 24 hours a day, it all consuming.
Just what everything is about the next fix.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what was your go-to? Like what really just captured you, and you were just that was the drug for you, or was there one and maybe multiple?
I really probably the most damaging was the cocaine and meth. I like cocaine better than meth, but it kind of gave you the same high, if you want to call it that. But those were the two most damaging.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I want to back up just a little bit because I want to make sure that I have this clear in my mind. There was never a point really in your drug experience where you were running away from something, you were trying to escape. You just kind of slid into it as part of, the people you hung out with, and it just kind of eased its way into your life. And the next thing you knew basically is you're living life to do the drug, whatever that drug is. And that's pretty much all you're thinking about.
My mom and dad, they never smoked cigarettes, never drank alcohol, never did drugs. So I didn't get any influence from them to do what I did. There was absolutely no family life or anything that caused me to seek drugs or anything else.
No big tragedy in
Absolutely
your life or anything like that. No. Yeah. And I'm wanting to bring that out because I think it serves as a good lesson for just how easy it could be for some kid to just be in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong friends. And then he wakes up, that good kid wakes up 5 years down the road and he finds himself addicted to, XYZ narcotic or drug or whatever.
My go-to to this day phrase is I can say no to go around it, but I can't say no when I'm around it. So I choose not to go around it. That's people, places, and things, as well as the drug itself.
So you're very aware of what's going to trigger you.
Absolutely.
What's going to put you back in that position.
Well, I don't want that lifestyle anymore. Yeah. And I know the only way, I was told in rehabs, I went to a bunch of them, your friends are not your friends. And my first reaction is, you can't tell me who my friends are.
Yeah.
You don't know me. Well, they knew what they were talking about because misery loves company. And it absolutely, when I finally gave in and realized that go-to phrase was what I had to live by.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, because it's just a good transition now, because I don't want to get too into the weeds with, the details of your drug use, but I can sit here and logically think that probably there's a point in your life where you kind of hit rock bottom. Do you recall that time? And is it anything that you care to share?
Well, it seems like I hit it a couple of times.
When you thought you were at the bottom, somebody threw you a shovel and you dug a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah, I was pretty bad on the cocaine and stuff, and my dad came back to get the vehicle that he had got me for work because I wasn't coming into work, had the doors screwed shut. He wanted me to get my things out of the vehicle. I had to crawl through the bathroom window to get out. I mean, I was pretty gone.
How old were you at this point?
I actually shot myself in my stomach, side of my stomach.
Wait, hang on, you're throwing stuff. Wait, what?
Oh yeah, because
how did that happen?
That's probably mostly for attention because I was getting my vehicle taken away, and hey, look at. I chose to not go in a side that was more vital, and it didn't really go anything but the skin. It was a .22 rifle.
How old are you at this point?
28-ish to 30 maybe.
Okay.
And not too long after that, I the cocaine was pretty damaging, and I got into it with a girlfriend that I was with. She had started working where I was working at a fence company because my dad fired me, and I went off and said I was going to hang myself. Well, I waited till the police were knocking on my door. I told them to come in, and I stepped off with a dog collar around my neck off my spiral stairs. They had cut, apparently they had cut, I didn't know, till I was down on the floor, cut the strap and saved my life. But, yeah, it's pretty dark places.
Yeah, and that was at 28?
Between 28 and 30 something, 31, 32 maybe at that point.
Okay.
Let's see. It was right around 2000, so that would put me at 29.
Okay.
Something like that.
So you were serious about checking out?
Yes and no. If I were serious about it, I wouldn't have waited for them to knock on the door and tell them to come in. I mean, I was on a, I don't know what you would call it. I was there on that brink, but I still didn't want to do it because looking back, how I did it, more for attention, I guess, maybe. I don't know. It makes you crazy.
Yeah.
And that's part of the mental health you were just talking about with your other guests.
Yeah.
It causes mental health
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah. It sounds like too there may have been part of that just, crying out for help. Some of that, is you knew it, but you didn't know how to say it, and just, the signs are all there. It's like, hey, here's a person that needs help, and I don't really know what to do at this point. So the cops are there, they cut you down. And is that when you decided, hey, something's got to change, or what happens after that?
I don't know. I may have been at a rehab before that. I've been to, I don't know, 4 or 6. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Different times through the VA mostly.
Yeah.
The last time I was in rehab, I got to, it was right around Christmas, and they were going to let us go home and then come back. Well, on the phone at the place, I ordered 300 Xanaxes to my dealer. So when I got home, I got those, and I missed out on a bunch of Christmas gatherings. Mm-hmm. My sister showed up, and I think she had 100 to 150, no more than, that was left. And this is only like a day or two. I had not to overdose or anything like that, just to get messed up.
Yeah.
And those things, when you take them that much, it puts you in a just comatose state. You're sleeping.
Yeah.
You're not even enjoying anything. There was pictures camping that I was taking those, and not like that, but every camping trip, the pictures of me was passed out.
Yeah.
And soon after that, I got pulled into huffing toluene because I did quit the cocaine. I did try to stay away from that, but toluene turned out to be a poor man's crack.
Yeah.
On crack. I forgot about that. Crack is not whack.
So, okay, so crack was part of the drug use too.
Well,
Okay.
that's part of cocaine too,
Okay,
but yeah.
All right. So when you said you did a lot of stuff, you pretty much you did the whole gamut of it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So Huffentoluene.
Huffentoluene was killing me. It was killing me rapidly. It's a paint thinner.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time you could get it at Ace Hardware. It was a sweet smelling. Some places you bought the toluene, it was not, and I couldn't do it. But the toluene from Ace Hardware was sweet smelling, so I was able to do it. I would think I was speaking rationally and coherently, but I wasn't. People that were around me would tell me later.
Yeah.
That is when I was really starting to come to a realization I need to quit.
Okay. So how old are you now at this point?
I'll be 54.
No, I meant not right now, but like, when you're coming to the realization
that was in around 2000, between 2000 and 2003 maybe.
Okay, so about 20 years ago, something like that.
So I had a friend up. I went inside the basement. You would pour some in a bag and huff on it, kind of like you see these third world countries huffing glue or something.
Yeah.
And came back, and I actually told my friend what I was doing, and he didn't want to have anything to do with me. He wasn't on drugs. He was just a really close friend for all my life since I was about 3. And that was one point that I realized, I'm not doing right. Mm-hmm. And then it came to a point I was on my back porch doing that after this. And I was out there in the daylight, and it started getting darker and darker and darker. And it was pitch black. And at that point, I said, I want to live. And I could see again, it was the daylight. I called my sister, told her what was going on, went up to her house. That's probably the starting point of really doing something.
Okay, so you're mid-30s now, roughly.
No, early 30s. Yeah.
Early 30s. You've done the rehab stuff maybe a few times already. It didn't really work.
Well, it gave me the tools, but if you can have you can have a whole gamut of tools. If you don't use them, they're no use for you.
Yeah. So you just really weren't to the place yet where you were motivated to make a permanent change.
Absolutely.
Okay. So early 30s. Do you have children at this point? Family at this point?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you're still a single guy, no kids. But you're getting strung out on whatever.
So let's see. At that point, this might have been 2002, because at this point I did stop abusing. I didn't stop smoking weed. I never really drank a lot. It makes me sick.
Yeah.
But I did drink beer.
Yeah.
But it was earlier in 2002, because when I finally realized I had some Xanax still left, and I didn't even know what they were for when I was abusing them. Mm-hmm. Well, I started just taking, because I didn't want to go back and get any more from the guy. Mm-hmm. So I just used what I had. I would just bite off a piece of it. And it helped calm my nerves, because I had been diagnosed with manic depressive, situational depressive, clinical depression. Mm-hmm. They didn't know what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
It was drugs.
Yeah.
When you take drugs and artificially your serotonin and your different levels in your brain are artificially given those drugs, your body starts making it. So when you come off that drug quickly, your body is not reimbursing that.
Right.
And so that's where you crave.
Yeah.
And, but come to find out, I've got anxiety disorder, whether that was from the drug use. I kind of think I've always had anxiety issues. So since 2002, about December 28th, I think, I have been on a 0.5 milligram 3 to 4 times a day and doing great.
Yeah.
Like I say, I didn't even know what they were for when I was abusing them. I was just, this something makes me messed up.
Yeah.
What I take now doesn't make me messed up. It keeps me grounded.
Right.
Because I'll pull into a parking lot, and if there's too many cars and I can't get a parking spot, or somebody pulls in faster than I can get there, sometimes I'm like, I just need to go home.
Yeah.
My wife says, have you taken your medicine?
Mm-hmm.
Or breathe? You know, she helps me calm down. But if I'm in an aisle pushing a buggy and there's too many people, I'll go to another aisle, go all the way around to get to the other side, to this day.
Yeah.
And
So what was you're in this place now, and you're deciding, something's really got to change. When was the time, and what age were you when it finally clicked and you got back on the track?
pretty much 2002, 3.
Okay.
But
Did you go back to rehab at that point?
No.
Okay.
So at this point, I still will drink a little bit of beer, and I would still definitely smoke weed. I and my friend said we would never get to an age to stop smoking weed.
Yeah.
And so come 2012, I met my wife in the woods, four-wheeling. And see, that's something I did, four-wheel and motorcycle ride. Those would have been something of my likes and hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't do that anymore because I associated with drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So I choose not to do that. I love it. But the last time I went on a motorcycle ride by myself, I went 120 miles, and I craved the whole time. So I just parked my bike. I haven't been on it since 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I'm still drinking and smoking weed, but I'm not doing the other stuff, which to me, that was a very accomplished state.
Yeah.
But I'm still not off of it. And so we met in 2012. Now, I'd met her, the only person I talked to at Cat Rat Day at Baylor, in 1985. And as I walked away and didn't get her name, didn't get her number, just said to God, how can I make this work? How can I, that's what I said to God as I walked off.
In 1985?
Yes.
Okay.
The same person. Because I walked up to her and said, who are you supposed to be? Because they dress them up. She said, Mr. Rogers. I said, Mr. Rogers doesn't wear glasses. I can't see without them. She's the only girl I talked to that day. And apparently I'm the only boy that came up to her and talked to her, and we remembered that conversation.
Okay.
So
you hadn't seen her since that time in 1985, and then you see her out in the woods.
I had seen her a couple of other times in different circumstances, but it just didn't happen. I honestly believe God said, this is her, but you're not ready. So the end of 2011, I had to put my dog down, and I was at the end. I said, God, I'm content with being alone. I'm content being a bachelor. Could I have at least met the person that I was supposed to marry? Well, apparently I had. He had already answered that.
Yeah.
And 1 month later, less than a month later, I met her in the woods. And we've been together since. So we've been together since first kind of officially dated in February 14th of 12, and but we met in January 12 in the woods, and in 2019 we were going to get married. I proposed December 25th and 15, but she's in nursing school at that time, so we decided towards the end of her nursing school we're going to get married. Well, in April of 19, all this time I'm living, I've got this, I'm in control, Well, that's when I finally realized I didn't have this under control. I literally hung out of her car my feet were on the ground. She's driving. I know it scared her, and she was out of there. She didn't want to have anything to do with me at that point. And I immediately realized what I had lost and that I wasn't in control and that I needed help. This is where I immediately signed up for anger management through the VA and started coming back to church.
That was 6 years ago?
That was 2019, April, right before her birthday on April 9th.
Okay.
So it was before April 9th, 2019.
All right.
I remember it.
Yeah.
So I'm still working. I'm working from sunup to sundown in the summer. I'm working on a church, building a church too. And every morning, the whole day, but every morning on my way to work, pray God read my heart. I didn't know what to say. I've been baptized when I was 13, I think. So throughout all this journey, there were times that I was in bad situations like four-wheeling, and I would pray and he would answer me. But I wasn't giving him the acknowledgement, the credit, when kind of like in the Old Testament, oh, we're doing bad. We need to go back to God. Well, that was part of my life because I never denied him. I would stand up for him even on drugs when somebody would say, when my cousin was saying GD all the time, I said, dude, we're cousins, we're friends, but if you want to say that, I'm not going to be around. I don't appreciate that, and I can't be around it. We're doing meth.
Yeah.
Well, he came up to me later and said, I'm choosing not to use that word, but nobody has ever come up to me and said that.
Yeah.
He didn't know any better.
So your moral compass was basically still there. It
was there, but I was away from it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, people would steal them from me. No, you're taking that back.
Right.
There were certain things I just wouldn't do, even though I was out there.
Right. Okay. So Jennifer, your wife's name is Jennifer. So she was pivotal in getting you back on track and keeping you there, basically.
Right.
So go ahead.
I immediately realized she was for me.
Yeah.
I immediately realized I had screwed this up. I had immediately realized whether she would take me back or not, I needed to straighten up and find and acknowledge who was in charge, and that was God. Mm-hmm. Throughout that process from April to, I guess, July, we didn't talk. I didn't post on social media or anything like that like I had done before. Mm-hmm. I did it. I wasn't trying to be manipulative or anything like that, but I was definitely trying to get myself right. How can I take care of someone else if I can't take care of myself with God's help? Yeah. Because I had tried it myself only before that, and look where that took me. Yeah. Hanging out of a car. Yeah. So she came back for some stuff of her, and she realized how much I had changed. Yeah. Yeah. And she took me back, and we got married in August of 19. Okay. And we've been together ever since. Been together since 2012, except that, but happily married since then. So at this point, I'm still smoking weed. I changed to vape pens. But in the day after all this happened in 2019, I went ahead. That's when I started praying every morning, and I have not missed a day since. Now I also read the Bible every morning, so I get up earlier. I woke up a rageaholic, so I get up earlier, about an hour and a half earlier than I normally would, to do all these things and start the day new with God as my compass and the forerunner. I mean, he's the reason I do this. Mm-hmm. But since then, I have not missed any. I've read the Bible. I started in 2021. I read it 4 full times, and the New Testament 5. She was working nights, so I had a lot of free time because I would go to work. She would be coming home, and then when I got home, she would be going to work. So I took full advantage of that time, and I do read it with an app so I can hear, and because my attention span, I have to hear it as I'm reading it. Yeah. It helps me focus. But and since then, I try to read it at least twice a year. So I've read it since 2021. I'd say 10 to 12 times.
So it sounds like once you acknowledged that you couldn't do this on your own, and you really began turning back towards God and putting things in His control, He puts a woman in your life, and that's really when the trajectory started going back to where you needed to be. Is that?
He put the woman in my life when I finally was content of being alone. I was off the big drugs, the major drugs. I was not abusing Xanax. I was taking it like it actually was supposed to be taken, mm-hmm. which I still own today, 23 years almost, mm-hmm. 22 years. And, but it's like he was waiting for me to be content. Yeah. And I was content, but I did plead to him, could I have at least met her, even if I didn't ever know who it was? Yeah. And then, bam.
He worked it out. Yeah. He worked it out.
I would have never imagined.
And this is just such a powerful story, a powerful testimony, Jimmy. We're going to wrap things up, but I was not expecting all of this, and I appreciate your complete candidness and openness to share this. I mean, it's really a painful part of your life, but you've emerged on the other side of it, and I think that there's some extremely powerful lessons here for all of us to the power of God, the power of prayer, how He works in our lives when we give control to Him, and how He's able to use us, and ultimately, this is all to His good, because He's using you now to probably help people who knows who is going to listen to this and who can be benefited and help from it. So I just want to say thank you so much for.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I hope it does help somebody. If it only helps one person, that's worth everything. I mean, because I want to say to anybody out there, you're not alone.
Yeah.
I've had many people in church come up to me and say, I appreciate your testimony or what you said about what you've been through, because I've been through something similar.
Yeah.
And give me big hugs and stuff. And because I guess they feel like they're alone. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
And nobody ever will be. Even when we get right, we still do wrong. That's where we get to repentance. And that's one more thing I want to say. Mm-hmm. I never knew what repentance meant until about 2019, April. Mm. Repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. Repent means to change your ways.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
They think it's kind of like confession.
Yeah.
Repent. No, it's change your ways. You're still going to stumble. You're still going to falter, but be in the mindset of asking for forgiveness, asking for guidance, and continue to get away from that.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that until 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, so anybody out there struggling with that, that's what that means.
Yeah. Great observation. So we're going to close things out. You've got a passage of scripture that I'm going to let you read, and then we'll wrap things up.
In some of the darkest places I've been, like literally dark alleyways and stuff like that, I would be scared, and I would always fall on Psalm 23:4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for the Lord is with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. Mm-hmm. That was my go-to, and it would give me peace and a sense of, even if I get stabbed, it doesn't matter. God's got me. One of the scriptures I want to read, though, is for what good is it to my brothers if someone says he has faith and does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is poorly clothed, lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace and be warm and filled, without giving them the things they need for the body, what good is it? So also faith by itself does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith apart from your works, and I will show you my faith by my works. That is not saying works save us, but to have true faith, you will end up having the works.
Absolutely.
And to not give up and trust in God.
Yeah. Thanks again, Jimmy. Powerful. This has been just such a powerful interview episode with you. So thanks so much for being very open and candid. All right, folks, give us feedback, share, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like what you see. Tell other folks about it, and consider becoming a sponsor of our show. Speaking of sponsors, Ministry League is one of our show sponsors, and they have a great app, so you might want to look at downloading that app, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Also, tune in to our Digging Deeper After Sundays podcast, also out of this studio, which happens every Sunday afternoon, and we put that out on Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays. Until our next podcast of Lying the Way in the War, love one another, be kind to one another, and remember, the creator of the universe loves you so much that he gave his only son for you. Have a blessed day.